Hello there, just after 6:30. Welcome to breakfast today with Sarah Campbell and John Kay.
Now, overnight, all of the additional trade tariffs announced by President Trump last week have now come into effect.
We've talked a lot already this morning about the impact on China, but what about us here? Because among these tariffs is a 25% levy on all car imports, and that has prompted Jaguar Land Rover to pause all of its shipments from the UK to the US. So Ben has gone this morning to a cafe close to their factory in Solihull to talk about the impact in that community. Morning, Ben.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning. We're at the Tea Chest, just down the road from the Jaguar Land Rover factory. That factory employs 9,000 people, and a good number of them come here to get their teas and coffees and snacks and lunches from Dave and Vicky, who are busy preparing for the day ahead. We'll be chatting to them in just a moment. But first, let me remind you about the situation and how it's changed, because as of this morning, tariffs of 104% have been imposed on US goods going from China to the US. Meanwhile, tariffs on goods from the EU going to America have been hit with a levy of 20%. Compare that with what the UK will now pay on things it sends to America. That level's set at 10%, although for cars, which is our biggest export to the UK, cars will face a tariff of 10%. And UK car makers like Jaguar Land Rover are grappling with that. At the weekend, JLR said they will pause shipments to the US because of that. That's a really big thing, because we send £9 billion worth of cars over to America to be sold. So it's an industry that is potentially very much affected. We'll chat to the cafe owners in just a moment, but first come over here because we've got some people who know all about the impact of the tariffs. And firstly, Steve, you distribute car parts. You're very much involved directly with the car making industry. But what does the 25% tariff on UK cars going to America mean for you?
Well, this is going to reverberate across the whole automotive industry, not just for car manufacturers, but also for distributors of car parts, because the tax isn't just on cars, it's on parts as well. So that whole supply chain could be disrupted, and that's where GSF plays its part in trying to mitigate those disruptions to the hard-working independent garages.
OK, so it affects you and the garages. Mark is from the federation that represents a lot of businesses in the car industry. What knock-on effect do you think this could have? How big could it be in terms of jobs, for example?
I think it has a real big knock-on effect. It affects businesses, not just directly those that are exporting to the US, but those that are indirectly exporting. And we represent kind of the unsung heroes of the motor trade because of looking after the majority of vehicles on UK roads. So big knock-on effect, not just with jobs, but also with skills as well. And that's a big part for us.
Some people are comparing this to Brexit. What do you think?
I think with Brexit there was a bigger lead time, so we understood the kind of rules of the game, but this is very similar. The level of uncertainty and lack of consistency is really apparent.
OK, and it has an impact even beyond the car industry. Ian, you run a local building business. Explain for us how decisions at the White House affect you here in Solihull.
What you've got to bear in mind is that the people who be affected most will be the workers at the factory, and what you've got to bear in mind, those people are the customers of much smaller businesses. So on the macro level, you've got the supply chain, but behind that, you've got a whole service industry which helps them and supports them.
You were telling me you're worried that some of your customers, if they work at JLR, they may pause the work they've asked you to do.
Absolutely. This has happened in the distant past, but it's been smooth running for a long time. Now we're getting to a situation where people may have to go on a short time. We don't know about that. There may be layoffs if it goes on a long time. And the problem there is we'll be losing customers all the way across the piece, and that's the effect from the White House to the small house down here. It's going to have a knock-on effect. OK, put very clearly. Ian, thank you very much. Mark, Steve, thank you very much. And the businesses are grappling with it. We're just out of time, but Dave, presumably a lot of JLR customers come here to your cafe.
Absolutely, yeah, of course. Being so close, we do have a lot of people in the local community that work for JLR. There's a lot of nervousness with the businesses in the local area, with families just having less money to spend.
OK, thank you very much, and thank you for the coffee, which is just about ready. So we'll leave it there. Sarah and John, back to you.
Ben, thank you very much indeed. Speak to you again a bit later.